Hi everybody and welcome to day 39 of 100 Days of Creating a Character, where I take at least 30 minutes a day to work on an animation clip from start to finish. And today I work more on the UVs and I'm almost finished with them, and I prepared the shoes now for texturing, and tomorrow I will jump into Substance Painter and get to know the program a little bit. Not that exciting to show really. It's mostly watching tutorials and trying out the program myself. And as I was working on UVs today, I wanted to do a quick tutorial for you of how I unwrap the belt. And you can apply the same workflow to unwrapping ropes, which used to be very annoying for me to unwrap, but yeah, I wanted to show you a quick way to do that. So here in Maya, and you can see my character on the left and the UV editor on the right side. And if I select the belt, you can see the result that we want to end up with. And yeah, the belt is unwrapped in a very straight line, which will be very handy when it comes to texturing. So if you're putting a texture on top of it, it won't get distorted in any way other than in a perfect way around the belt itself. So to start from scratch, I isolate my selection and select all the faces and do a planar mapping. This way all the UV cuts will get eliminated and I have a fresh start. So the first thing that we have to do is to go to Modify and unitize the whole mesh. And unitize is unwrapping every polygon to the 0-1 space. So every polygon takes up the space of the complete UV tile. And if I enable the image in my UV editor, you can see that the image that I have is put onto every single polygon. So the next step is to go to the edge mode and select all the edges that later will become the border edges of the UV tiles. And I want to cut along the edge of the belt all around the model. So you can see the edge loop goes around the model completely. And don't forget to select the edge loops in the holes as well. Otherwise the two UV islands will still be connected and it won't get unwrapped properly. So now that I have selected all of the edges where I want a UV cut, I hold down the Shift key and invert this selection. So all I have selected now are only the edges that I want to be merged in my UV editor. And when I do that, you can see that the individual faces are now stitched together and they make up the UV islands that I wanted. But if I now check the UVs, and let me quickly scale it down a little bit, you can see that it's still distorted and stretched. And to fix that, we have to rotate both UV islands to point in the same direction. And once both UV islands point in the same direction, I can go to Modify and go to the Unfold option box. And if I reset the settings, you can see that the Unfold 3D option is turned on by default. But for this case, we want to choose the Legacy option. And when we scroll down, you can see the Unfold constraint. Since our UVs are currently laid down horizontally and we don't want to distort them in a vertical direction, we choose the horizontal option for the unwrapping process. And when we now select our UVs and apply the unwrapping, you can see that the belt got unwrapped only on the horizontal axis. But there's still some distortion happening right now, and to fix that we can select everything again, but this time deselect the outer edges, so the top edge and the bottom edge of each tile, and then choose the vertical unfold constraint. And this time we have an outer edge, and with that the unfold will only happen between the top and bottom edge. So when we click apply, you can see that the distortion went away, except around the holes. But now that everything else other than the holes is perfectly unwrapped, we can just select the area around the holes. And as long as there's a cage of unselected UV points around that, you can just go back to the old unfold 3D method, hit apply, and yeah, then you're done. One thing I wanted to show you is a trick that I learned not that long ago, and it helps me quite a lot when I unwrap my models. So let's say you have a lot of UV shells, and when you put a checker texture on them, the checker texture has a different size. So in this case, the inner part of the belt has a lower resolution as the outer shell. And what I used to do is to get rid of that is to select the individual shells and then scale them by hand and try to match them by eye to make them all an equal size. But that would take a lot of time, and I would never get them exactly the same size. So what I learned is there's a small option in the layout UVs option, and that is called the shell pre-scaling. And by default it's turned off, so the size relation from each shell to the other will stay the same, but you can put it to preserve 3D ratios. In this way, the amount of pixels each shell gets is in relation to the size they have in the 3D scene. So if I now select both of my UV shells that have different sizes in the UV editor and in the world space as well, you can see the checker resolution is different in both, and I have the preserve 3D ratios turned on, and I hit apply. You can see that now both sides are having the same texture resolution. I hope you liked that small tutorial, and if you have any questions, please feel free to write them in the comments. So yeah, I'm always happy to help out, and that's it for today, and I will see you guys tomorrow.